to Truth or Politics. I'm your host, Darlene Price, and tonight we have the Honorable Dan Gibson with us. Tonight, he's our Pulaski County dude in charge up there, and also AKA cameraman, trucking through the woods. Anybody who's a killer bee with the Truth or Politics team, dude, you guys have no idea the stuff that we do. We climb through woods and up mountains. We sneak around at night. We do black bag jobs. You can't know the super sleuthy secret stuff we do to get you guys the information. And Dan the man here is part of that. We're real proud of him, and a bunch of other people are too. Okay, tonight we're going to cover, I call this edition, number 5 of Who's Your Daddy? Who's Your Daddy Politics up in Pulaski County in Somerset. Now, we're going to cover what happened at the city council meeting last night, the Somerset City Council meeting. But I want to say this, and Dan just brought this up right before we started. Folks, this is not something that's just indicative or affects Somerset, okay, Somerset, Kentucky. If you come to Lake Cumberland, if you are a tourist, if you own property anywhere in the Pulaski County area, or anybody all the way down the Cumberland River, all the way down to Nashville, if you're getting your drinking water, which literally probably millions of people are, not to mention animals, okay, I'm an animal lover, this should affect you. You should be concerned about this, okay? So here's what happened. Had another city council meeting last night, and I'm going to go through some of the stuff. I highly encourage you all to go and watch this. It should come under the category of you can't make this crap up, because some of the gems that fell out of the sky were just amazing. One of them I'm going to go through. I literally went back and I dictated word for word some of the statements that were made, and it just was freaking amazing. Because for over a year and a half, Mayor Keck has been saying everything's fine. He has been absolutely misleading the public that his system works, and misleading people thinking that his system is filtering out everything. Everything's fine. Nothing to see here. Well, we find out that no, it's not, and you'll never believe who made the statement, who backed me up without realizing it, and I'm sure he's regretting saying it today and last night, because I've been all over it. Okay, so let's get started. First, I got a lot of, just tons of emails, everything else, on people trying to figure out, okay, so what is forever chemicals? What are PFOAs? I really want to call a similarity to this and asbestos. Here's why. The asbestos battle is still ongoing. There's still lawsuits filed today. You see commercials everywhere. If you have mesothelioma, you may have a claim. Contact the law offices of whatever. The asbestos battle, when they first started learning that this was killing people, was 60 years ago. Over 60 years ago. Okay? It started. Then lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. Finally, it took almost 60 years before the federal government actually started passing laws against asbestos. Go look at the asbestos history, okay? Asbestos, like forever chemicals, it's also a forever particle, if you will. It's used in brakes and all kinds of stuff. You know this more. You're a builder, And it doesn't break down. That's the problem with it. And even the smallest particles, if it gets into your lungs or somehow it causes all kinds of cancers, okay? So we all know about asbestos. PFOAs are kind of similar because it's hard for people to kind of understand what's going on. Here, I got this directly from the federal EPA's website. And let me read some of this. PFOAs, it's also called C8. It's called C8 because that's the molecular shape of this. It's 8 carbons and a bunch of fluorides, all crammed together, that a company by the name of 3M and a Frankenstein laboratory, 60 years ago, manufactured this total mess of. It was for the military purposes is what they were doing it for. And it turned out that it was killing people. And it still is. And it's dangerous and it's lethal. And don't let anybody tell you any different. Here's what it is. PFAs are a family of thousands of compounds that have among the strongest bonds of organic chemicals chemistry prized for their ability to resist heat, oil, grease, and water. That's how they got their moniker, Forever Chemicals. It takes a very long time for them to break down in nature and in the human body, okay? Some of the stuff that compounds are used for, that PFOAs are used for, Forever Chemicals, are protection of products such as carpets, clothing, treatments, coatings for paper, cardboard packing, leather products, and industrial suffocants, wetting agents, additives, coatings, manufacture of fluoropolymers, you know, like in tires, that type of stuff, all the stuff that's in your vehicle, non-stick coating on cookware, membranes for clothing are both waterproof and breathable, electrical wire casing, fire and chemical resistant tubing, plumbing threads, seal tapes, and firefighting foam. Now, think about this. These landfills, and thank you, Shane Weddle, for admitting this last night. These landfills accept, it says right on their website, they accept toxic waste. He said it's not toxic waste. Bull crap, it is toxic waste. I'm calling, here's my BS meter on that, okay? These landfills all have this stuff because they accept demolition waste. They accept, like when somebody breaks that, tears down a building because it's got asbestos in it. Guess what these buildings are going to have? They're going to have this stuff. They're going to have electrical wire casing, threads and seal tape, stuff, building materials, carpets. This stuff is loaded with C8. Therefore, these landfills are loaded with C8, period. And then in this article, and this was also, EPA proposes further leachate regulations after a study, an EPA study that they posted, finds that PFAS at 95% of the surveyed landfills. There you go, folks. These landfills these are facts, period. They're facts, unless you think the federal EPA and all of these, investigators and these folks that are doing these studies, a lot of them are independent studies too, they're all lying, okay? So either you believe this or everybody else is lying and you believe Mayor Keck and Shane Weddle. I mean, that none of this is, everything's good, okay? So, go ahead.
Could I ask a question?
Sure.
Have we determined whether there is a safe limit or a safe level of exposure to either of these?
Yes, and the safe level proposed by the EPA as of March of this year, and then last week, oh, by the way, yours truly got to give 2 minutes and 30 seconds. my little 2.5 minutes live via Skype, because I was somewhere else. I couldn't be in D.C. In supporting these laws and regulations, and these laws and regulations say that, I should have unplugged that, sorry about that interruption, I forgot to turn the phone off. Welcome to live TV. Say that the EPA's proposal is that there are no safe limits, zero safe limits of PFOAs, PFOs, forever chemicals, and drinking water. Let me repeat that. It is so close to the zero. When they did the press conference for this back in January, and you can go watch that, just type in Federal EPA, Forever Chemicals press conference. Google that. You can watch this yourself. The guy says there are no safe limits of these forever chemicals and drinking water. That's it.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Does that mean that if any amount of those materials are found in your drinking water,
It's deadly.
It's likely to kill you or cause cancer?
Yes, that's exactly what it means. And we had an attorney up in Somerset test his drinking water, and though it was a small amount, and he said that a small amount of the PFOAs.
But it has been found in the drinking water.
In Pulaski County drinking water. Pulaski County drinking water. He tested his drinking water and has been found. So last night when they said, oh, it's not in the drinking water, that's incorrect. That is incorrect. He showed up at several meetings ago, and you can go back and watch those meetings. I don't remember which one it was. And he stood up and said, hey, I tested my drinking water, and guess what I found? PFOAs in the drinking water. And, of course, the city councilman poo-pooed it. Well, it's such a small amount. Well, such a small amount is lethal. Such a small amount of these PFOAs is deadly and can be lethal. So, there's no safe levels of these. Says so the federal EPA. Says so every organization that's investigating this, to include the state water district and the state EPA right now under the, hang on, let me get my right, the Energy Environmental Cabinet, Department of Environmental Services. As of just a few weeks ago, the state of Kentucky filed suit against DuPont. And in their suit, they quote this. I've got the complaint. And I forgot to post the complaint. If y'all will, somebody out there private message me and remind me. I will post this complaint. I've got the actual complaint that the state of Kentucky filed against DuPont for this very thing. And when you read this complaint that the state itself, state of Kentucky, suing DuPont for, it is scary. It is scary. And they're suing them for billions of dollars for cleanup and everything else. And I will post that. And I meant to do it before I got on here, but got got 80 million things going and I didn't. So, got,
people called you a liar last night. And
well, they didn't call me a liar, but pretty much.
Yes. Well, is there anything that we say that we don't document, that we don't have documents to back up
Absolutely.
everything we say?
Absolutely.
Do
And
we
we're going to
say anything that we don't have 10 documents to prove what we say is true?
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And here's a crap load of them. We're going to go through some of these tonight. We've been on the air for over coming up on 13 years. And we have, yeah, can you believe that? I know, he's looking at me like 13 years. Can you believe that's been 13 years? Man, time flies.
Could I ask another question?
Wait.
I'm sorry.
And there's a lot of people who have lost their jobs because of things that they did that we exposed. And I'm not apologizing for that. These people deserve to lose their jobs. Some of the things they did, some of them should be in jail for some of the stuff that we exposed, okay? We've never been sued. Why? This is why, what we're about to go through. We have a document to back up everything we're saying. So, and usually confidential sources as well. We usually have both. In fact, most of these stories start with confidential sources and then we get the documents. Anything else? Okay. Let me breeze through this pretty quick.
Sure.
Oh, that's okay. So one of the things I want to hit that they covered last night, I want to hit this that shows knowledge. Mayor Keck, one of the things he said, because I kept asking him, the city council kept saying, we didn't know about this, we didn't know about this, and he's like, yeah, you did, and it went back and forth. And I've come to believe that, and let me just say something real quick. When we first started this, I started using a moniker. I started calling the city council the mayor and his minions, because that's what I believed. I believed that all those city council members were just Kool-Aid drinkers, butt kissers of the mayor. And I have to take that back. Okay, they're not. There's a couple I think that are still along for the ride, and I think if he told them to go jump off a cliff, they probably would. But what we have learned over the last couple of city council meetings is this. These city council members did not know what was going on, and I believe that. And we're going to go through word for word some of the things that transpired last night. But I want to hit this real quick. Mayor Keck talked about, we entered in an agreed order. He brought that up last night, and I thought, oh, yes, because he showed knowledge. What that tells you is he knew that his wastewater treatment plant was deficient. It was so deficient that he had to enter into agreed order with the state EPA and the state water district, okay? Now, in that agreed order, they had to come up with a community action plan, a CAP. And, I have already posted these documents before, and I've got them here, and you can go to, by the way, all these documents and more, if you go to YouTube and type in Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath, Parts 1 and Parts 2, most of the documents are in Part 2. But I want to hit this real quick because they were supposed to do certain things. And there's a whole list of things that they agreed that they would do in this agreed order, in this community action plan that they would do. And they had to complete. They didn't. Not only is he showing knowledge that he knew that his wastewater treatment plant was defective by saying that last night, he's totally caught. I'm going to read you this. I sent an open records request to the Energy and Environmental Cabinet, okay, Department of Water. I sent them, this is what I requested. Please provide any and all records that would indicate that this project was in fact completed and inspections made by the Kentucky Division of Water regarding these repairs. Because one of the things they had to do is repair. This was their answer back. The EEC currently has no records responsive to this request. So they didn't do that. Okay. Then, next thing I ask, no inspection performed by the engineering section of the water infrastructure branch. Okay, so then the next thing I ask, what indicates the project was actually completed? Okay, so then I ask, please provide any and all records regarding proposed submitted by Tim Anderson, City of Somerset. That's the CAP. This proposal was for the removal and dewatering management of the wastewater solids from Pittman Creek wastewater treatment. Please see attached. Please provide any and all records that would indicate that this project was actually completed. Please provide any and all records that would indicate the Kentucky Division of Water verified and inspected that this project was completed. Note, in a copy of the provided to us by the City of Somerset, page 6 of 6 document, there are only signatures from H&A Resource Management. There are no signatures from the City of Somerset on these documents. Please provide a completed copy of the document with signatures. This is their answer. There are no records completion of the Pittman Creek WWT improvements, including the sludge management and disposal. That's not what he said last night. And I've got it right here. Okay, and this is posted on the Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath, in big bold letters. We posted this when we got it, okay? And this happened, all this happened in 2021. 2021. So, I think that's pretty important that, you know, that he showed knowledge of that. That shows he knew that this was defective. Before he started taking in this leachate. And he said that. When we talked about this, you know, last night I brought up all the violations. By the way, this is all violations, folks. This is it. There are dozens of them that start from 2016 to November of last year, okay, or December of last year. Okay, dozens of these violations.
And the mayor denied that several times.
Well, no, what he said was, well, that was before I became city council, and I came back at him and I said, no, these are up through this year, you know, just a few months ago, November 2022. So, no. What? And he's like, well, and he keeps saying, too, it's irrelevant. They're two different things. No, they're freaking not. You know, that is misleading. I'm being kind when I'm saying, Mayor, you're misleading the public. I'm being kind, okay? Because they are connected. Because it shows that before you started bringing this leachate in, Mayor, you knew that this place was defective. You knew it. You knew it. You knew it. Because last night you admitted it. You said, oh, that was 2016. That was before I was mayor. Why did you know that?
Documents to prove. I mean, we have all the proof in the world that he did know it.
He did know it. Well, he admitted it.
He admitted it.
He admitted it last night. So that was a big golden nugget falling out of the sky that he admitted absolutely last night that he knew. Okay?
Could I ask a question?
Go ahead.
When he admitted that, he said, he was saying that his contract that he had, he was bound by it, and that he had to honor it since he had the contract to take on this leachate.
I'm going to cover that.
And that all they had agreed to it, and immediately all said, we did not agree to it.
I'm going to hit that. I'm going to go through word for word. I'm going to hit that, okay? I'm going to get to that in a minute, okay? So, let me just, this is what I stood up and read to the body last night. Just a couple. I said, let me read a couple of these. This is from the Energy Environmental Cabinet. This is one of the violations. I performed a Somerset Pittman Creek on July 3rd, 2018. Okay, not 2016, Mayor, 2018. At the time of the inspection, your facility received a rating of out of compliance violations documented. And what I said last night is there's dozens of these. Here it is again. The out of compliance violation document. The facility is not being properly operated and maintained as required. I read that to everybody last night. Those city council men, their jaw dropped. I'm telling you, I honestly believe now, and I take back calling them the mayor and the minions. I take that back, and I apologize for that. I think he does have a couple of minions, but the rest of them, they were in the dark, and we're going to go through that. Let me get hit a couple more of these. Another out of compliance violation document. The facility have failed to comply with effluent limitations contained with the permit. They're not even they're doing their permit. There are dozens of these, and this is what I also read last night. And you could tell the city council guys, they didn't know this. Every one of these violations states the following. All of them. We'll lead off with this. No person shall, directly or indirectly, throw, drain, run, or otherwise discharge into any of the waters of the Commonwealth, or cause, permit, or suffer to be thrown, drain, run, or otherwise discharge into waters of the Commonwealth, in contravention of the standards adopted by the Cabinet and in contravention of any of the rules, regulations, permits, or orders of the Cabinets, or in contravention of any other provisions of this KRS statutes. In other words, it is against the law. It is a state law.
If you break that law.
And the penalty is they can charge you $25,000 per day per event. Every one of these state this, okay? And there's dozens of them. Again, I didn't go past 2016.
Who did this now? Who has put this in the lake? Who's been doing this?
We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that, okay? Hang on. It's a little bit more complicated than that. Okay, so what happened was in 2019, Mayor Keck, and we find through last night's meeting, and it was only Mayor Keck, okay, unless John Adams is playing stupid like a fox, okay, but last night he admitted, I'm going to go through these statements one by one, okay, because apparently what has happened is, at least the appearance of it is this. This has been a good old boy, who's your daddy, backroom deal between Mayor Keck and only Mayor Keck and Shane Weddle. That's what it looks like. That's what came out last night, okay? Because these city councilmen, and I'm going to read some of these statements word for word, didn't know about this. Okay, let me go through this. Okay, here's a couple of them. A city councilman said, "Did you have?" Asking John Adams, the city attorney, John Adams. This is a back and forth between them. Folks, don't believe me. Go watch this for yourself. I tell you what, it's entertaining as all get out. It is. And
if it weren't so sad that they're actually willing to do
it would be a
this for
joke.
money.
You know what? It reminds me of. You ever see Saturday Night Live, the spoofs where they spoof the government and make fun of the government? How a government agent could just screw something up. This last night, it looked like, go watch this. It looked like you would think, this has got to be a joke. There's no way this could happen. Folks.
What would happen if I poisoned someone?
You're going to prison. Prison. You're going to prison.
Why are they not in prison? Sovereign immunity?
Well, we're going to hit that. Okay, we're going to hit that. Okay, let me go through this. But I got to say this. Folks, I worked for the federal government as a federal agent. I did a lot of undercover. I worked on the mean streets of L.A. as an undercover narcotics agent and as a money launderer undercover and everything else for a lot of years. I worked the federal government for a lot of years. In the military, as an investigator and also, as a special agent. I've seen a lot of, Charlie Fox trucks in the government. You can't work for the government that long and not just have an eye-rolling experience every day. And I'd like to say this is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen, but it's close. It's close. So let me just go through a few of these nuggets with us if we can. Councilman says to John Adams, "Did you have anything to do with this contract?" John Adams, the city attorney, answered, "I didn't write it. I didn't negotiate it." Councilman, "Did you read it? Did you check it out?" John Adams, "No." I'm sorry, I'm laughing because it's unbelievable. Councilman, "Who did? Who do you think it? Don't you think it's your obligation to let this council know about this? I'm sure you knew about it, right?" Adams, his answer, "I knew that we were processing leachate, but I didn't read the specific contract. I don't read every contract." When he said that, I mean, that's jaw-dropping. That's his freaking job. Why are you paying him? His job is to do exactly that. His job is to say, every contract, especially multi-million-dollar contracts like this, that can cause damage, okay, which anybody with half a brain would know, he should have done his homework. John Adams should have said, when they first brought this up, time out. As your attorney, I got a few dozen questions. What is leachate? Have you done your homework? I'm not approving this. I'm not taking this to the council until I know what this is. Okay? That's what he should have done. He didn't even know who wrote it. By the way, nobody knew who wrote it last night. They never could answer that, could they? Never could answer that. Nobody would answer who wrote it.
We know who signed it.
Well, I'm getting to that.
But no one admitted to writing that contract.
No. Well, I can tell you who wrote it. You know, Watco wrote it. This was a Watco contract that benefited them. And they wrote their own contract. And, that doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure that out, okay? So let me continue here. So, Adams, I don't read every contract. City councilman, well, that's your job, isn't it? Adams, it is. It's like, no crap, Sherlock. Okay, so then I come back and say, yeah, now think about this. After all of this time, we started this over a year ago. I've been in front of that city council 3 or 4 times, I guess, and we've been fighting about this leachate. Don't you think by now the city attorney should have gotten a copy of the contract and read it? And maybe said something about it or advised about it? Oh no, he was just as ignorant last month as the first day when we met him, and he played stupid, okay? So, unbelievable. So, I guess he was too busy. Maybe he was too busy approving or looking the other way while Mayor Keck spent $20,000 in under 2 years on lavish vacations. Maybe that's what he was doing. I don't know. We'll hit that in a minute, too.
$20,000 of whose money?
Yes, taxpayers' money. Okay, we did a whole show on that. So, council. The city councilman says, we weren't told about this. We didn't vote on this. Keck replies, it's been in 3 consecutive budgets. And then I say, signed by city employees, Keck, under whose authority? And I ask him, who gave these city employees? Because I had the contract right there. I said, I've got it right here. 2 city employees signed that contract. Nobody with a... Folks, what that would be like is if physical court here in McCrory County or physical court in Pulaski County, that would be like just a county employee went out and committed, a county or a city to a multi-million-dollar contract with just their signature.
Without telling them.
With no checks or balances. Without telling anybody, the city attorney not knowing, without the that is unbelievable. It's just, it's unbelievable. But Keck answered, under my authority. So, he told two employees to sign a multi-million-dollar contract.
When he said that, it made me wonder, what is his authority in such a matter? Does he have the authority to overrule and go against council votes? Does he have the authority to
apparently he has authority to do whatever he wants in Somerset, because he did this with no city council approval. He didn't sign the contract. The city attorney
didn't draw it up.
Didn't know anything about it, or acts like he doesn't know anything about it until last night. Still hasn't read it. I mean, he also committed the city of Somerset, you taxpayers. We've already done a show on this. Please go back, go to YouTube, watch all these shows. He also caused the city of Somerset to pay for a $1 million piece of property downtown for a private university that never got built. Now they're sitting on this property, So Mayor Keck does a lot of things with no supervision, no oversight, apparently, because these city councilmen don't know about this. Since then, I've talked to these city councilmen about this $20,000 in under 2 years that he spent on vacations to, Key West, Florida. These are Las Vegas. All of these fancy vacations where he's at the Ritz-Carlton. I mean, he is in some nice digs, okay, spending some nice money. City council didn't know about that either. City council didn't know about that. They didn't know. There's a lot of things that Mayor Keck is just doing all by himself, and we're going to get to some more of that in a minute.
On his authority?
I don't know. That's a good question. On whose authority? Because the city council is not authorizing this, unless they're all lying. And at this point, I don't believe that. I believe that this is being done he's just doing whatever he wants, and there's no checks and balances. That's what came across last night through this, and that's what we're seeing here. That's what the documents show. Let me go through some more of these. I asked Keck, did you tell this council that you gave the city employees the authority to commit this city and this council to a multi-million-dollar contract? Now listen how he answers. He says, by default in the budget, yes. Okay, no. What he did was he snuck it in the budget under some little line item thing, and like Mir mentioned it, he did not tell them, oh, by the way, I'm bringing in over 53 million gallons of toxic waste through a defective wastewater treatment plant, and there may be some blowback to this. You know, he did not tell them about the agreed order. He did not tell them about the cap. This city council, thanks to Mayor Keck, has been kept totally in the dark.
Am I remembering correctly when he said that I did tell every one of you this? One of them called him a name.
Well, they went back and forth, and I was talking at the same time,
not?
so I missed that. So they went back and forth. Go watch it, and they I think there was a name call in there. But and I'm sorry, but at this point, and you know, I kind of feel bad because when I first started this, I was throwing that city council under the bus. Okay, and they still need to be held accountable because now they know.
Yes.
Okay, here's the thing, city council, you know what you got now. Okay, I've said this on many shows. One of the best agents in the world. This guy was a hero. He was been with ATF, and he trained me. And one of the things he said is this, in the federal government, he said, Darlene, once is an incident, twice is a coincidence, 3 or more times is a problem. Folks, with Mayor Keck, you city councilmen, you should know by now you got a problem. $20,000 in under 2 years in lavish vacations, $1 million piece of property at the taxpayer's expense, all of this at the taxpayer expense, and now this. Okay, you got a problem with this mayor. And, you know, before, and I apologize for assuming, and I assumed wrongfully, that you guys, most of you knew about this stuff. It has come out that, and I believe you now. I do. I believe that most of you did not know this. Maybe 1 or 2 did. You were kept in the dark. You were blindsided. And Mayor Keck snuck this stuff in. That's what he did. I'm convinced of that by his answer. By default in the budget. Okay, that's not explaining what this is. He never explained any of this at all to these city councilmen. In fact, hold on. That city councilman, one of them even said last night, if we would have known this, if we would have known any of this, we would have voted against this. Guess what? That's why he didn't bring it up. Why do you think he snuck this through? There's no doubt in my mind that he knew that if you knew this, you wouldn't let it happen. That's why this became a good old boy, who's your daddy backroom deal. That's why. Go ahead.
Okay. They made a vote, and I was there and I listened to it.
Right.
They said, we make a motion to stop taking leachate now. They didn't say later, 6 months or 3 months. They
Right.
said stop taking leachate now. And it passed unanimously.
Right.
Now, what are the consequences of breaking the law?
I don't know that.
After that unanimous vote, doesn't that become a form of law, regulation?
Well, here's the problem. He
what
has
is it?
tied this. He has tied the city to this contract. Okay, he has. Here's what I think they should do. This is just my opinion. Okay, I think the city council should do a special session on this and this alone, and I think that they should null and void this contract because it was never voted on. It was never bidded out. None of the things that you normally would see with a multi-million-dollar contract. It doesn't have the right signatures on it. And let Shane Weddle sue Mayor Keck. Because guess what? He's the only one on the hook for this. He's the one that committed to this.
He admits that.
He admits that. And his authority only. If I was a city council, I would hire I definitely wouldn't use John Adams. Oh my God. The city attorney. I would hire an outside lawyer to come in and sue Mayor Keck for this. That's what I would do. If I was city council, I would turn around and sue Mayor Keck
But
and let Shane Weddle join the lawsuit.
But last night, they had a chance to say, you are violating our vote. You're still taking it hand over fist. You got proof of it with Darlene's videos that the very next day you're down there.
I think they're afraid
that
there's a sunset on the contract that he committed to. There's a sunset thing that says they have 90 days.
He committed it without their knowledge and without their approval.
I agree. And
why did they not take action yesterday to fix that?
That's why we're talking to him right now.
Yeah.
That's what we think you should do. That's just my opinion. Okay, so let's go into some more of this because there's, I don't run out of time, and there's some nuggets here that we have to hit on. Okay, so then Shane Weddle got up and talked. And he went into, his childhood and everything else and all that good stuff. But he said something, and I swear, when he said it, I about jumped out of my chair and hugged him because thank you, Shane Weddle. For over a year and a half, Mayor Keck has been in denial and just misleading the public about his treatment plant and its ability to handle these PFOAs, okay? So here's how it goes. Shane Weddle, and this is word for word. Go watch it yourself. I'm not doing this whole 20 minutes, but here, Shane. First off, he says, this stuff is not hazardous toxic waste. He said that. He said the stuff that they're hauling from these landfills, leachate, is not toxic hazardous waste. Yeah, it is. Okay. BS meter pagan. Anybody that knows anything about these landfills, to include the federal EPA, says it's toxic waste. You're wrong, Shane Weddle. Then he says, this treatment method is the most common used. We have a facility that is very capable of taking it, but in fact, very efficient setup due to Sinking Creek facility that we offload being a 25 million gallon pre-treatment facility, which is diluted, aerated, pre-treated, transported by pipeline to the Pittman Creek water plant, the actual plant, and then treated before it's discharged. There's not a better setup, folks. This is the perfect setup for this. Okay, first, let me dissect this. No, it's not a perfect setup. Says so, the state, because it's not working properly. Number one. Number two, we went out and filmed. Go to Lake Cumberland, What Really Lies Beneath on YouTube and watch it. We go to this poor guy's house that is on Sinking Creek. And the pipe where it goes from Sinking Creek facility to the Pittman Creek facility leaks. And
right
it
there
comes
at his house.
right there at his house.
And he's covered in sores from head to foot.
And not only that, they have, I don't know how many responses to where the Sinking Creek facility, once it rains too much or something because the facility it doesn't work, they have drainage directly out of the facility into Sinking Creek, which flows into Pittman Creek, which flows into Lake Cumberland, which flows in the Cumberland River. So in other words, it's not even getting treated. It's not even going through the system. It's coming straight out in the Sinking Creek. That overflow has happened several times, and they've had to answer why it happened. And some of the answers are just unbelievable. They're just BS answers. One of them is too many car washes. Again, we've posted all these documents, okay? So, call them BS on that. So, but just remember, he says it's a better system. It's the best system. Okay. So, and just think about what's in landfills, batteries, what's in your trash every day. And for him to say tires, medical waste, for him to say it's not toxic waste, you know better. Everybody knows better. Okay, so then Shane says this. PFA and Forever Chemicals could be getting through. Of course they could. You know why. And he says, no wastewater treatment plant is designed to treat them and filter them. When he said that, I was like, whoa, wait just a minute. You just admitted to what Mayor Keck's been denying for a year and a half. Let me read that again, because I looked over at him and I'm like, I couldn't believe he said that. I just couldn't believe he said that. And so I had to go back and listen to it again. He said it, folks. Shane, the expert, he talks about his expertise. He knows everything about these plants. He says, and I quote, PFA and Forever Chemicals could be getting through. Of course they could. You know why? No wastewater treatment plant is designed to treat them and filter them. Drop the mic moment, okay? Thank you, Shane Weddle. You just countered a year and a half of Mayor Keck's BS. And it's so hard not to use the S word, okay?
And he and his thing there admitted that they are putting it directly through a pipe down to that place and then directly into the creek.
Right.
And when they have overflows, it's going directly into
Sinking Creek.
Which flows directly into Pittman Creek.
And it's not even being treated when
no
it overflows. And there's a bunch of those, okay? So.
And they say it's not getting in there.
Okay. So. Not only is PFOAs getting through, there's asbestos in these landfills. All four of these landfills. Folks, don't take my word for it. We have posted these landfills. Go to Lake Cumberland, what really lies beneath. Go to their websites. They brag about it. He said that last night. He said, yeah, it says on their thing that they take asbestos waste, but it's not getting through. Yeah, freaking is. If PFOAs are getting through, guess what? Asbestos, everything else is getting through, okay? Here's the thing, and I made this point last night. Folks, if you take a little tiny particle of asbestos and you take a little tiny particle of a PFOA, a forever chemical, okay, and you put it there, you propound it with a bunch of water, because he talks about it's diluted and chemicals put on it. Guess what? It's still going to be there. You can't dilute this stuff. You can't dilute the asbestos. You can't dilute this stuff. That's the problem. This is why they're called forever chemicals, people, okay? So I couldn't sleep last night. I woke up in the middle of the night, and I just like, no, he didn't. He didn't just do that. He did. He did. He said it. Go watch it for yourself. He said this. Okay, so, one of the other things that he keeps saying, their big argument all along is, well, this is how it works all across the country. Everybody's doing it. Everybody's putting PFOAs and, everybody's doing this. So we should just do it too. And somebody else used the argument in the audience at the last city council meeting. Well, so that's the same argument that your daddy would slap you for. Well, my buddies are jumping off a cliff. I should too. That's just got to be the lamest, stupidest argument ever. And you know what? It ain't working. People see through that,
Well, these are bright men, intelligent young men. Are you trying to tell me that out of their concern because they're the government, they're the elected, for concern for the citizen, they're putting this stuff in Pittman Creek for money to give to the citizen or save for the citizen? Is that what you're telling me?
I don't know what.
Are they intelligent?
Somebody's making money off this, obviously.
Oh, it's money. So
right.
It's money.
Somebody's making money off this. And according to Keck, the city of Somerset was making money off this. But the point of it is, the amount of money that they made, and in fact, it was two or three meetings ago, this young lady stood up and she made an excellent point. She goes, you got a 90-something million budget, huge budget for a city. This is just a small little amount that you're making. Why would you take this risk? She asked Mayor Keck, why would you take this risk? And you know what his answer was? Economics. That's what he said. Yeah. That's his answer. Not my words, his words.
Money.
For money.
For money, he'll take that risk.
So, let's see, Councilman. Okay, so then the councilman says the plant is not up to date. I'm quoting a councilman. We need to spend $8 to $10 million to get it up where it needs to be. Isn't that right? And he's questioned this to Mayor Keck. Keck says, well, that was the case before leachate. They're separate issues. He keeps saying that the leachate and the violations are separate issues. No, they're freaking not. The violations and the fact that you need $10 million to fix your plant shows there's something wrong. You don't ask the taxpayers for $10 million to fix something that's not broken. And if it's broken, guess what? All this crap's getting through, okay? This is not rocket science, people. This is common sense. They're trying. It's like, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes? They're trying. Folks, I know most of you out there watching this, you got to be thinking, I was born at night, but not last night. Mayor Keck and Shane, we were born at night, but not last night, okay? This is easy to see through, and people are seeing it.
Well, a big point that they kept trying to make was, they kept trying to say this is fear-mongering. Well, all they have to do is stop the fearmongering,
Stop the leaching.
quit taking leachate.
That's
They'll put
it.
it into it all. But
Thank
are
you.
they doing
Fist
that?
bump.
They will not.
There you
They
go.
will not do it.
Okay, so then a councilman says, nobody sitting here really knew this was happening. Let me repeat that. Not only did this meeting did they say that, but 2 weeks ago they said it again. No one sitting here really knew this was happening. We knew what leachate is. If we knew, sorry, my typo here. If we knew what leachate is and what it could do, it would never happen. So, that's why he did this. 2 and 2 equals 4. He figured out, him and old Shane, they figured out, man, they knows what this is. And they know about this, and this, and this, and this. They're never going to pass this. We got to slip this in under the radar. That's what he did. He slipped this in under the radar, just like he did the $20,000 of his vacations at the taxpayer's expense, just like he did the $1 million piece of property for a private university, and this city council. And you know what? Who's really responsible for allowing him to do this? The city attorney, John Adams. I'm sorry, but I'm pinning this on you. It is your job to know this stuff. It is your job to find out. It is your job to say, whoa, wait a minute. What are you doing? Now, what is this? It's your job to go through that budget and ask questions. And if there's something wrong, it's your job to present that to that city council. Period. That was your job. That city councilman was right. That was your job, John Adams. Your job was to make sure that city council knew what's going on. What's going on with the money? What's going on with the budget? What's going on with these contracts? And the fact that you admitted you didn't read this contract, hadn't even read it last night.
Oh, wait, Darlene. During every meeting, he's advising Keck. He's there whispering in his ear constantly.
Wouldn't you like to know what he's whispering in his ear?
He seems to be advising someone.
Well, he sure is not advising the city council. Okay.
Yeah.
Folks, the bottom line is, when you omit things, when you keep things secret, I'm sorry, that's the same as lying. Especially in official documents, official things, when you purposefully omit things, when you hide things, it's like you're lying, okay? That's what has happened here, apparently. Because I believe, at this point, I believe these city councilmen. I do. And
does that relieve him of the protection of sovereign immunity to purposely lie or conceal?
I'm glad you brought up sovereign immunity. Good segue for it. Okay. A lot of what city officials and county officials count on is what's called sovereign immunity. That's so you can kind of do your job. Cops have it. Prosecutors have it. You can kind of do your job and, and be kind of immune from lawsuits, because nobody would take a job if anybody could sue if you're just honestly trying to do your job, okay? Where that can fall short is this. Sovereign immunity can be dissolved when you can show that something was extreme negligence, purposefully done, criminally done, hiding things, kind of like how this kind of looks, okay? And, you knew about it. And then harm was caused by it. Let me repeat that. You knew something was seriously wrong. You did it anyway. You covered it up. That's what gets you, the cover-up. And
you defend it, in other words.
You defend it and cover it up, and then you mislead the public. Folks, if that hasn't happened here, I don't know where it's happened, okay? So yes, it is possible to dissolve sovereign immunity. Here's what I think. I just think that this city council need to wake up, and I know a lot of you guys like him. I know everybody likes him because he's real nice and he does the Christian thing. And I was a criminal investigator for 20 years for prosecution, and then I'm a criminal investigator for defense attorneys. That's what I do. Okay, I never met a con artist I didn't like. I just haven't. I mean, you know, have you ever met a con artist you didn't like? City council folks, you guys have been had. You guys have been had big time.
But now that they've been exposed to all these facts and documented facts from every direction and
Now-
proved by documents,
Now,
what would you say about them now?
okay, now if you sit back and do nothing, now you can be complicit. Okay, now you have the duty as city councilman to do something. You have the duty to act, okay? And what you can do, and this is my humble opinion, is you need to hire an outside investigative firm, not one hired by Keck, okay? Yeah, he brags about, oh, we had a clean audit, good audit. Yeah, independent auditors hired by Keck, handpicked by Keck. Gee, I wonder how that audit's going to be, right? So you city councilmen need to bring in an outside independent auditors and some lawyers, okay? And you need to really go back. Here's the problem. If he's done this, 20 grand, lavish vacations, that's taxpayers' expense, $1 million piece of property at the taxpayer's expense for a private university. I want to know how that got passed, okay? And now this. What else has he done? What else has he done? You don't know. And at this point, because now you have been made aware, now you're on the hook, okay? And I don't mean to sound mean, but now city councilmen, you have knowledge. You have access to all of these documents. In fact, last night I offered them. I held this up and said, here's the violations. Anybody want them?
At every meeting we've had with them, you've offered the proof of everything
The
we say and
documents.
documenting everything we say to be the truth.
And by the way, there's two file folders. Usually I have them out here. It's this big. It's this big. Two big, those snap things. File folders. It's over $1,000.
Video after video,
Video.
I see them saying that you are misleading people.
Yeah, no, he's
Lying.
misleading people.
You're saying you're lying.
Well, I think the people out there know who's misleading people, and it's not us. We have the documents to back us up. Mayor Keck does not. Okay, he just doesn't. So let me make sure. Okay, okay, hit that. Stay by. By the way, somebody posted a reminder. Do you think this isn't affecting this whole state? And I'm not putting this only on the city of Somerset wastewater treatment plant. But this, and Shane Weddle's right about this, that this has happened all across the state of Kentucky. And guess what? Just a few months ago, they came out with the same departments. Don't eat the fish. Now you can't eat the fish in the state of Kentucky because every one of them's loaded with PFOAs. Okay, so this is how this was supposed to work. What should be happening, and you know what? It don't take an expert to figure this out, okay? You know, my husband's a county attorney. I watch what goes over for years. For 13 years, I've been covering physical court over here, right across the street. And because of our things that we've exposed, the last physical court is they're all gone except for one because of the stuff that we exposed, okay? Now it's being run right, okay? I don't agree with every decision that the physical court over here makes now. I don't. But they do it in the light of day. It's filmed live for everybody to see. And they do not just pass stuff without going through their county attorney, okay? And the county attorney gets it ahead of time. He does his research, and he says, this is a bad idea. Here's why. This is a good idea. Here's why. Then they vote on it. That's how it's supposed to work. That's how the city of Somerset is supposed to work. That city attorney is supposed to do his homework. You are supposed to know what this is. You're supposed to read the contracts. You're supposed to do the research. You're supposed to find out what leachate is. You're supposed to find out that, you know, two employees signed this contract. You're supposed to know who wrote it. Which you didn't. You're supposed to know this ahead of time. Do a presentation to the city council so they are all well informed, and then they should vote on it. That's how it's supposed to work. Now, this is not rocket science. I mean, anybody who's ever been involved in any kind of government knows that's how it's supposed to work. And that's not how it's working in the city of Somerset. And the big key linchpin to this is your defective. I tell you what's defective. This is your city attorney. That's what's defective. Go ahead.
Anyway, I noticed there were several people in the meeting last night that weren't just from Somerset.
Right.
And I did a little research, and the county is distributing a large portion. I think more than the city of Somerset uses. The county is distributing through their water systems, Western Pulaski County water system,
Right.
and the southeastern water system.
All over.
Yeah, so it's going in, even into other counties.
Yes,
Now,
it is.
here's the thing. Pulaski County Fiscal Court or magistrates, I haven't heard one of them say one thing about this. They haven't mentioned it, or that they might have some liability in the matter, and they're distributing this poison water, and yet they said nothing or done nothing.
Well, here's the thing. And Pulaski County Fiscal Court, how convenient of you to have your fiscal court at like 10 o'clock in the daytime when people work. You know, if you really wanted people to be able to show up and challenge you and ask questions, you need to do, that's one thing the city of Somerset does right. They hold it 2 times a month. They hold it at a reasonable hour where people can get off work and go to the meetings. You're not doing that right, Pulaski County Fiscal Court. You need to move your meeting so I can show up and ask questions, which I'm sure that's the last thing you want. Okay, we're about out of time, okay? This is what this comes down to, folks. This lake and this beautiful Daniel Boone National Forest, it doesn't belong to Mayor Keck. It doesn't belong to Shane Weddle. You know...
It does belong to Pulaski County.
You know, folks, I came back here after living in a cement jungle for over 20 years. And I'm telling you, when you live in a place like the LA area, you know, I would watch, you know, movies and stuff from Kentucky and stuff. Man, I would just almost cry, man. You talk about being homesick. And LA was fun. I got to work some of the biggest cases. Most law enforcement agents never get to work. And I don't regret any of that. But I have a different appreciation for the Daniel Boone National Forest, where I live right now. I live in this forest. And I just want to end with this. I wrote a little poem not too long ago, and this is what it's about. And it's called The Woods Behind My House. And I just want to read this to close, because this is what this is really about. This is what you're giving up. This is what you are potentially destroying, is what this poem's about. The Woods Behind My House by me. I love the woods behind my house. Of this you know there can be no doubt. Where the Cherokee spirit still roams free in every cave, boulder, and stream. Where apex predators stalk their prey, bear, coy wolf, and big cat stray. It's peaceful there, morning, noon, and night. I like the darkness best with my headlight. There's no place on earth I'd rather be, on the trail, my dogs and me. Where elk and deer all make their bed, and eagles fly just overhead. I like it best in winter, though, the forest sparkles in the snow. With caves, streams, and waterfalls, in my woods, I have it all. No worries or stress live in these woods. Here I'm never misunderstood. Sprinkle my ashes upon this trail. Perhaps someday I'll see you there. When I pass, don't cry for me, 'cause on my trail is where I'll be. I love these woods behind my house. Of this you know there is no doubt. This is what you're giving up. You are potentially destroying an entire ecosystem. And I want to commend again the city council for making the vote that they made to stop this leachate. And I also want to say one more thing. When Mayor Keck does bring his experts in, we need to put his experts under oath. Those experts that he brings in, you city council members need to put them under oath. And that way you can hold them a little bit more accountable for what they say. So, folks, that's what happened. Please go watch this yourself. Most of it's right in the beginning. And there's, I think there's a little bit at the end, but most of it's right in the beginning. So, go watch this. Don't take my word for it. Watch it yourself. And folks, we're going to stay on this, and we will see you next time on Truth or Politics. Thanks.